Here's O'Hara. He hands off to Maher, and look out! He's off to the races. There he goes! 90 yards on the touchdown run for Maher, and the Jags are rolling.
All right, welcome into the Cooper Football Show, presented by Barleycorns here at the Florence location on this Monday night. Almost October, hard to believe. We're back after 6 weeks, and we started with a little preseason special. Now, a couple quick notes before we get into the programming. Monday Night Football, a scheduler's nightmare this evening, a double dip. 7 o'clock, it'll be the Jets-Dolphins. Thrill a minute in that one. And then the Bengals. Bengals at the Broncos start at 8 o'clock right here at Barleycorns. A reminder, too, during all Bengal games, Barleycorn's happy hour specials are in effect. So normal's happy hour plus, I understand for every Bengals touchdown, and hopefully there's a few more than last week, you need to ask about a special beverage that could be yours. I can't say it on this program, but trust me, it's there. So I've got some other Barleycorns information for you too, but it's my pleasure as always to welcome up Cooper football coach Randy Borchers. The Jaguars 6 weeks in, 3-3, playing a brutal schedule. In fact, the 3 losses coming to 3 teams with a combined, if my math is correct, 16-2 record. And we'll recount some of that. We'll take a look at where they are. They got off to the district with a victory last week, 49-14 over Connor. This week at Dixie, then a bye week, and then closing out the regular season. We're back again before the final week on October 26th. But, Randy, welcome. I know it's been a difficult 6 weeks comparative to a year ago when you went undefeated during the regular season. So let's go way back. We were in the preseason. We were talking about Anderson, the team you were facing week 1. And I guess the good news is it was only 8-3 at halftime, right? That's as close as anybody's been to Anderson. And they are legitimately probably the team in Greater Cincinnati with the best chance to win a state championship. They made it to the D2 state final last year, lost in a snowstorm to Avon 20-13. But I know from that game and their pace and their offense and their depth and everything, you know, that was certainly, you knew it wasn't going to be easy, but did that turn out to be a little more difficult than you could have even thought, especially in the second half?
Yeah, we went into that game knowing that it was going to be difficult with the pace that they went, the temperature being our first game and really not being football conditioned yet or game conditioned yet. But, you know, we went in 8-3 at halftime, and I think we all felt pretty good being 8-3, and then we came out the second half, and, you know, they got a quick one. We had a turnover, and, you know, when your kids are tired and things aren't going well, it just seems like it was a snowball effect, and, you know, it seemed like every play we had a kid cramping. So, you know, looking back on it, that's team's unreal. And you know, to be very honest with you, they were better than us. And
they're better than most,
yeah.
To be honest. I mean, really, Kings was in it close, and then all of a sudden they had running clock in the second half. And then you play Highlands again week 2 in the Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown. And really, that was a game, kind of one of those, a play here, a play there, and then you go play your arch rival Ryle, which you finally kind of snapped the skid a year ago, and you were able to go to Union, stay in Union, I guess, presumably go a little Southern Union, and win a close one over Ryle. So, I mean, that had to be a good lift because conceivably, when you look at Anderson, Highlands, and then Ryle, which at the time I think a lot of people thought were as good as any 6A team in the state, to win that one, at least set you 1-2, when in theory, you could have started, not because of your team, but just because of that schedule, you could have started 0-3.
Yeah, and I think we actually talked about that at the first coaches show, that, you know, we could be anywhere from, you know, 1-4 to you know, 4-1 or 3-2. I think, you know, being very optimistic, I think we felt like 3-2 would be the best start that we would have. And, you know, we felt like that Highlands game could have been the game that could have turned, you know, made us at 3-2, and we had some opportunities in that game. I mean, again, that's a really good football team. They lost to you know, perennial Boyle County by 1 point. Right. So, you know, you look at it and then you go, you know, I'm sure you're going to talk about it, but the Manual team we played 2 weeks ago is probably one of the top 2 or 3 teams in 6A. So, you know, our kids keep battling. You know, we've been battle tested. We're banged up right now, so I think, you know, we're kind of limping into this bye week next week, and we got to get healthy for the run, you know, from October on.
Well, you mentioned you beat Campbell County, then you played DuPont Manual, and you're right, they're 5-1. They're only lost to South Warren, ranked high in the 6A. So when you look at 6-0 Anderson, 5-1 Highlands, only a point loser at Boyle County on the road, and then DuPont Manual, and then you start your district play, and you look at the second half of the season. You start with Connor, a team that, obviously, still reeling from the loss of, as everyone who knew Dave is, from Dave Trosper, and Noel Rash and some other really good coaches took over that program. But that's really a difficult scenario, and you're able to win that, and we'll get to where you are now. So you're sitting 3-3. You're 1-0 in the district, as is Dixie Heights. They started 0-4 and really kind of got shellacked the first 4 weeks, and then won 2 games, and they're 1-0 in the district. And it's never been easy whenever you go over to Dixie Heights. It's always, no matter what the record, it seems to be a difficult scenario. But I want to take you to the injuries, because I know you have had some key injuries, a few that may be lost for the year, a couple guys out. Kind of bring everybody up to speed on where you are in an injury situation.
Well, I think we're like every team, going into week 6 that, we're just banged up. Christian Brown, who's a 3-year starter, he's the one that we're really missing right now. The kid was kind of that glue on the offensive line, and he was that kid that kind of did everything for us, made a lot of the line calls and that, and obviously he got hurt the Ryle game, and probably done for the year. And looking at someone like that's such a good kid that's worked so hard, and to see him be done, it's just tough to kind of weather. And he's been great. He's been at practice. He's been upbeat and coaching our younger kids up. So it's nice to still have him around. And we got a couple other kids, a Gaviston Martin kid we lost early in the season, first scrimmage, and we're looking forward to getting him back after the bye week. And we lost another safety, so we lost 2 kids in the secondary. 2 starters that we felt were going to start. We lost one before the season started, one week 3 or 4, I think week 4. So, we're struggling a little bit in the secondary. We've given up some big plays, but, our kids are getting better, and we're hoping to get those guys back and hopefully position ourselves to make them run at it again come November.
You're watching the Cooper Football Show presented by Barleycorns. I'm Tom Campbell, along with Jaguars head coach Randy Borchers. A couple other Barleycorns notes. Make sure they're limited time Oktoberfest menu, where I understand they have a beverage that you want to ask about that's very, very good, but that's only for a limited time, so make sure you ask about the Oktoberfest menu, and it is that time of year, as you know. Although it's going to be probably 90 in 2 more weeks. We can't seem to get a break. We either want the false fall or something of that nature.
You're a big Oktoberfest person, though, aren't you?
Love October. You got to love
Yeah.
Oktoberfest.
You're a big craft beer fan?
Yeah, it's not going to say it isn't one of my faves, yeah. Sure. And how about this? Congrats to the Cincinnati Reds. I know we're talking football, but we'd be remiss. They have to go out to Los Angeles, but they've got a shot. If you're in, you got a shot. The pitching, they got the Dodgers. So we'll see what happens. And, you never know, right? Yeah. I mean, it's been they got in maybe the way the Mets with the epic fail, right?
Hey, if they come back home, we got to go.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Yeah.
We'll get Vogel in.
Let's get through the Dodgers first. But nonetheless, I want to ask you about just a couple guys to highlight, and we're going to talk to 2 of them tonight. That's Ryker Campbell, who has 3 interceptions and is now the school's all-time leader in interceptions with 16, and playing on both sides of the ball. Keagan Maher having another outstanding year, and he's 118 yards away from becoming Cooper's all-time leading rusher, surpassing Devontae Bradley. Also is already the leading scorer when you pass Isaiah Johnson. That's pretty special. Cam O'Hara having another solid year, about to go over 10,000 passing yards, and those are some of your keys on offense. And you've had Carson Clark, who's played well on defense, Max Wethington, Dax Bolden, the linebackers, Xavier Barber, Corey Freihofer in the secondary. I mean, so you have had some guys that are having strong years. And I think sometimes, and I go back to last year when I said repeatedly, enjoy this. This doesn't happen every year. And for anyone, to go undefeated during the regular season, make it all the way to the state final. And so what has this year been like? I mean, coming in with the big winning streak, and you got a chance. I don't know how many people know this, but correct me if I'm wrong. If you win the district, and I would have to say as we sit here tonight, you're likely the favorite. If you do win the district, I don't believe Cooper's ever won back-to-back district titles. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
That'd be a pretty big deal. I mean, and you've got a shot. You've got a shot. Certainly Boone County's 3-2. Simon Kenton, which is your final regular season game, sits 3-3. But you've got 4 games left. You have a shot, as they would say in college and pro. You would likely be favored in all of them. And that would be, and I know when you looked at the schedule, if you're able to win out and take that momentum into the playoffs, you'd have to feel pretty good about this team going into what is seemingly a pretty wide open 5A.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing, Tom. We're 3-3, but I think we feel really good on where we are as a football program. And you had mentioned Dixie, who we play this week, but they're another team. They've played a very tough schedule.
They did.
They played a Hamilton-Baden team that's really good.
It's undefeated, right? They played
Covcath, Beechwood. So, you can sit here and say we're the favorite this week, but we're going to have our hands full. And 2 years ago they were beating us at halftime, and we came out the second half, and that was when we woke up and really got going that year, and then kind of put it all together. So, we know we're going to get their best game. It's going to be their homecoming game. So, we're going to have our hands full this week. But when you really look at it and asking how I feel about going into the year. If you told me we were 3-3 where we are right now and with the injuries we got, I would be pretty happy with that.
Well, let me ask you this, too. I mean, going into last year, coming off the previous year, making it to the state final, finishing 12-3, last year it was expected. I mean, let's be honest. And you had a wealth of talent. I mean, when you look, I don't think people understand the losses, in particular the playmakers between Austin Alexander, Isaiah Johnson, Jaden Combs, then in the secondary, Isaiah Brown, Isaac Brown, Ben Brown's son, who's playing collegiately, and then you also had, Roman Combs. You had 2 big dudes back there covering guys. I mean, those are some significant, and even a guy like Mike Mulvihill on the line. I mean, you lost a lot of key players to be where you are today. And be in the position you are, you would have to feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, and I think when you really look at it, and you had mentioned Ryker Campbell on the season he's having, but we lost him a lot of the time over the summer with an injury as well. So, coming into it, knowing that he's going to be one of your prime targets, and last year, he played some receiver for us, but we were able to keep him predominantly on the defensive side. So, our passing game is starting to come around, and early in the season, we were really struggling with that. Our running game was going pretty well, and we were kind of struggling with our passing game. But, Cam's getting in a rhythm again, and he's starting to feel comfortable with his receivers, and the timing's getting better. So, I think we feel as a coaching staff, if we can continue to build with our passing game, that, we're going to be really tough come November to get knocked out of the playoffs.
All right, we'll give you a couple-minute respite here, and I'll welcome up Ryker Campbell and Keagan Maher. I know their favorite part of the night. They get to come chat with me, but I know you're a big bingo guy. So I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that 2 weeks from tonight, the Ready to Spin bingo right here on that Monday, which is October 13th, 7 o'clock. You get to spin the big prize wheel, which is pretty cool. Win some Barleycorns merch, some gift cards, other things. Free. That's a big, to play. It's free, and it's very family-friendly. So that's, again, 2 weeks from tonight, the Ready to Spin bingo right here at the Florence location, 7 o'clock. You a bingo guy, right?
It's already on my schedule, Tom.
Okay. All right. So, but the Oktoberfest menu I know you got to ask about. And a reminder, if you're here to watch the Bengals tonight, Bengals-Broncos, 8 o'clock kickoff, so I might have a chance of staying awake for the first half. Happy hour specials in effect, and ask about the special beverage if and when, and I have to say if, the Bengals score a touchdown.
I can't see you being a sauerkraut fan.
Well, you don't have to be a sauerkraut fan to like Oktoberfest. Well, you do. I mean, I get a Reuben without it, so that doesn't make it a Reuben, does it?
No,
that makes it just
all.
a corned beef sandwich, I think.
Yep.
All right, well, welcome up Ryker Campbell, Keagan Maher. Talk to 2 of the members of the Cooper football team, and we'll welcome back Randy Borchers to kind of talk Dixie Heights and the remaining 4 weeks when we continue. It is the Cooper Football Show presented by Barleycorns right here at the Florence Barleycorns location. All right, welcome back to the Florence Barleycorns. It's another edition of the Cooper Football Show presented by Barleycorns. And I'm joined by 2 members of the Cooper football team who have been integral parts of great runs, 12-3 2 years ago, making it to the state final, 14-1 last year, state final again. Sitting 3-3 this year, but again, in position to make a run in Class 5A. And these guys have rewritten the Cooper High School record books. Ryker Campbell, who now has 16 career interceptions, the all-time leader. Pretty impressive. Congrats on that. I know, not that you were counting or anything, but nonetheless.
Thank you.
Keagan, you need 118 yards to be the all-time leading rusher, and you already hold the scoring record, so congrats on both of those.
Thank you.
Do you count, or you look, or do you know, or do you? Does that stuff matter to both you guys? Maybe not now, but will it matter, when you come back with some of your fellow alums down the road?
I mean, yeah, it's kind of a cool thing to have, but I mean, right now it really doesn't mean too much.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Down the road it'll be something cool to look back at, but right now we're just going out there to play.
Well, let me ask you about going out and playing this year, and talk about this year compared to last year. Last year, pretty much, you guys were the hunted. You guys were undefeated, didn't lose until the state final. What's it been like this year? Go back to the second half of week one and since then. How different is this year just for each of you week to week than it was a year ago?
This year it's kind of a little bit we have to honestly work a little harder for what we have. We can't just go out and be better than everybody else like how we were last year. But this year we definitely are working a lot harder and we have to earn everything that we have. But I mean, it's good not being looked at like the best team around and having a big old target on your back every week.
Yeah, I'd say something for us, we've had to learn to be a lot more disciplined. The past couple of years, we've been able to get away with just being able to go over top of everybody and just walk into a game and just know that we're better and just outplay them, outmatch them everywhere on the field. But this year, we got to come out and be a better disciplined player than the guy across from us.
Certainly one thing that you'll look back on at some point, too, is what this senior class, I believe you're 22 strong, and what this senior class, this is no doubt the most impressive 3-year run in the history of Cooper High School football. Talk about your class and these guys and what they mean to you now, what they will mean to you in the future when you look back, but just the tight bond that you guys share. How proud are you of this group of guys who can still make another run, who are in position to make another run? Keagan, I'll start with you. What does it mean, this class? How close are you guys? And was there a time when collectively as a group there was maybe a game, even a practice, a moment where you said, this group is special? Is there a moment like that?
I would definitely say, just for me, we're so tight-knit. There's a lot of the guys like Ryker I went to middle school with, or some other guys I grew up playing with, middle school ball, elementary school ball even. And I knew a lot of them growing up. And then now being able to play with them has always been really cool. And then
was there a defining moment? Was there a game? Was there a time when you guys collectively looked at each other and said, hey, this is a special group here? I mean, not that you maybe said that, but you felt it.
This year I'd definitely say the Ryle game. It just felt we're all out there having fun, playing hard, flying around, just making plays, and just being able to see everyone with a smile on their face after a big game like that is just always nice.
What about for you, for this group? I mean, was there a time, do you know, go back to your sophomore year, did you have any idea that as sophomores that you could put together a run like you guys have done in 3 years?
With that group, I definitely feel like yes, and it happened. But I feel like with our senior group, our freshman year, we had really good success in freshman football, it's freshman football, but still just having us, and we didn't have Cam. Cam was the only one that was playing up during that time. We were once we get him with us, we'll be good. But I feel like the success we had playing freshmen just all together and just growing with them, I feel like we knew at least when we were seniors and all, it was all on us. I feel like we knew that we could do something good.
You holding up going both ways? I mean, trying to be a prolific guy on both sides of the ball. I know that's not easy, especially in 5A when a lot of other teams perhaps don't. But I'm sure it was a quick adjustment week one against Anderson, right?
Yeah, I definitely underestimated how hard it would be, but it's getting better week to week. It's definitely getting a little bit easier.
How are you feeling running the football? And you're also quite a prolific receiver out of the backfield doing both. Knowing, I mean, let's be honest, you guys, when you lose Isaiah Johnson, Austin Alexander, Jaden Cummins, you lost a ton of guys who were big-time playmakers. Are you adjusting now to the fact that you're being keyed on? Because I can tell you, I talked to Anderson coach Evan Dreyer after that first game, and he goes, that running back is really special for them. So, I mean, you obviously caught his attention, and as you well know, they're pretty darn good. So, but are you adjusting now to being a playmaker and knowing there's maybe more weight on your shoulders than previously?
Yeah, definitely was something I had to get used to. Just knowing teams know that we don't have those guys on the outside other than Ryker now. They obviously know that we're going to try and utilize me more. And I definitely, some games I was like, man, like, why are we struggling so much with doing this and everything? But then I realized it's like they're keying on the run game now, and it's something I definitely had to get used to. But now I've started to definitely be able to like get more used to it.
Final question for both of you guys. You sit here 3-3, 1-0 in the district. You're at Dixie, which has never been an easy stop. But looking at the Final Four and then getting into the postseason, how do you feel? I know Randy talked about, hey, you know what? We're 3-3. We've got everything in front of us. How do you feel this team is playing right now? Know you got a couple injuries, as does, pretty much everybody this time of year. But how do you feel going into Friday night at Dixie and looking at the remaining season?
I feel pretty confident. Just like the first couple weeks, like you said earlier, really battle tested us, and I think we're ready for like any competition that comes our way. But I feel like the guys we have, and now even with injuries, are really like stepping up and doing their job, and I feel really confident for the back half of our schedule and even going into the playoffs when we have those guys back that just need to get healthy.
And I'll change it up just a bit for you, but what does this team need to do starting Friday and then in the final 3 regular season games to be able to make a run? 5A looks statewide pretty wide open, so what do you need to do collectively as a team from this point forward?
I just feel that we need to continue to just get better week by week and not get ahead of ourselves. Just being able to go into each game, trying to get better, learning from our mistakes from last week, and just knowing that it's only going to get harder. So we only just have to work harder every week.
All right, before I let you guys go, I'll give you a chance because this will obviously be posted after tonight. So Jets-Dolphins shouldn't be played. We can all agree on that. So Bengals-Broncos, abomination last week, embarrassment at Minnesota. Give me your Bengals-Broncos prediction for tonight. And you don't have to be a homer, be honest.
27-10 Broncos.
Okay. You?
31-14 Broncos.
Well, hadn't taken long. Smart guys right here. All right. Gentlemen, Ryker, Keagan, appreciate it as always. Best of luck the rest of the regular season. And your record, 118, I'm sure you're going to probably knock that door down on that Friday night. So 2 members of the Cooper football team, Ryker, Campbell, Keagan, Maher, will take a quick break, and we'll come back and wrap things up with Randy Borchers. Talk about, I got a couple other topics for him too. It is the Cooper Football Show presented by Barleycorns right here from the Florence Barleycorns. Welcome back to the Cooper Football Show presented by Barleycorns right here at the Florence Barleycorns. I want to make sure we stay on track here because I'd hate to cut into the Jets-Dolphins viewing tonight. Tell you, if you're watching that game, you either have interest in it, need some fantasy points, right? Because otherwise, really.
Or you just don't have a life.
Or
You and I could both.
Right.
We might be watching it before too
Have you
long.
ever seen more of an at least appearance of a clown of a coach than that Mike McDaniel?
He's definitely a different bird.
Well, it's all that analytical. It's all that, right? And in case you haven't noticed, it isn't working, Mike. Right? What do you think of all that stuff? Do you use a lot of analytics?
No.
I know you don't have the staff like these NFL teams do, but does that stuff work in football, do you think?
Man,
do you have your little charts and your codes about when to go for it, when not to?
We do, but you know what? I never look at it. So I always get in a game, and I just
is it feel? Don't you think? Is it more
I think
feel
a lot of it is
than
feel. Yeah, at least with me it is, and just how things are going, how the game's going, and even with punting, I've always been one, if our defense is playing well, we're going to punt it and pin them down. If they're not playing real well, we'll be a little bit more aggressive. So,
well, let me ask you, because it's Monday Night Football in the NFL, and Dan Campbell of the Detroit Lions is really the only one who has made a steadfast continuance of going forward on fourth down, inclusive of when they were up 7 against Baltimore. It was like 4th and 4 or 5, fourth quarter, kind of a tenuous position on the field. He goes for it. Are we going to see more? I love that. I mean, it's confidence in your offense. Now, it also helps to have an offense like Detroit does. Do you think more people will start to do that? Will coaches take a look at going more and giving you – because play calling, and they talk about how Dan Campbell tells the offensive coordinator going into third down, hey, you got 2 downs, so you can call third down differently. Will we see coaches do more of that?
Yeah, I think you will. But you look at Dan Campbell, he did that all last year, and everyone loved him for it and thought he was great. He gets to the NFL or NFC championship game and did it and kind of cost him the game, and he was the biggest idiot. So, when it works, it's the greatest thing in the world to do. When it doesn't work, you shouldn't be doing it. So, I think every coach is different. I think he's one that, he just gambles a lot. And you do see, you got some high school coaches that do the same thing. So I think everybody's just to their own, but I do think you're seeing a little bit more of that. And the other thing you're seeing a lot of now is, teams are down 14 and they score and they're going for 2 to go, for the 8 with the intention that if they don't get it, they can still go for 2 the next time to tie it. So, the game's changing a little bit.
Well, I want to ask you about that, about the game change. I mean, you've been coaching for a long time. What changes have you seen? We'll talk high school level. In the last 10 and 5 years up to this year, what are some of the biggest changes from coaches that you have seen?
From coaches or from just how the game's
I just think the way the game is played, and then as a coach, you kind of fall into that, not trap, but you have to coach maybe a little bit differently than you otherwise would have 10 years ago.
Yeah, and I think there's 2 things at least that I see right away is, 10 years ago we were in full pads 3-4 days a week. Now we're going, we don't go full pads at all during the week, and we're going shells 2 days a week, and then helmets the other 2 days because, with the concussions and the injuries and that, and really can't afford to get banged up that much. And, I think the other thing is I think the kids have changed a lot. So, and now if someone's not happy, they're going to jump in the so-called portal and go someplace else. So I think the other thing is you got to kind of handle each kid a little different. I know when I played and even when I first started coaching, you coach kind of one way, and if the kids didn't like it, they just didn't like it. Now a kid doesn't like it, they're transferring and going someplace else.
Well, you mentioned the portal, and college football is insane. You watch every side. I love college football, but you watch and you got this team's got 50 new guys, this team's got 60 and 70. Well, it's not a portal yet at the high school level. Clearly, we are in an age where if Fred doesn't play at school A, he's already determined he's going somewhere else. There's one coach in Cincinnati who tells me, and this would be for Ohio, but he thinks because of 3 pending lawsuits, he thinks NIL's in effect by the end of this academic year at the high school level. Now, I think it's different. It's certainly different. I don't think anybody's going to get paid $1 million to play high school football, but it certainly will change the landscape. And we're in that right now a little bit, correct? I mean, if a kid doesn't play and it's, and it's trainers or this or that, convincing parents that Johnny's better than he probably is, so then he's not getting the opportunity here, he's going to go there. Is that only going to get worse? And if it does, to me, if there's NIL at the high school level, you're going to see veteran coaches and a lot of athletic directors say night-night to their jobs. You just are.
No doubt. And one of the things we always talk about at the high school level is it always seems like we're about 3 to 4 years behind what happens at the college level. And you're starting to see that now where you got kids going from school A to school B, and the KHSA just came out and we voted, earlier in September as an association now to, give the kind of one-time transfer depending on how much varsity time they got. So it's trickling down, and I'm sure, and even the NIL in Kentucky, you can do it at the high school level. You just can't, use the high school's name
Correct.
or logo or anything like
Yep.
that. So, I mean, that part of it's there, but you're right. And the tough thing with that is now, not only is mom and dad going to be worried because little Johnny's not playing enough and it's hurting their college scholarship, now they're going to be mad because they're not making the money that they feel they should make as a 16 or 17-year-old.
And little do they realize the recruitment of high school seniors today is virtually, it's not non-existent, but it's damn close. I mean, there are, you have to be exceptional because it's too easy to get an experienced guy, disgruntled guy at school A in the portal. And,
And as a college coach, they can go get a kid that's, at an FCS school that is a 20-year-old and still has 3 years of eligibility left that's gone through it, almost like
Correct.
a red shirt that's coming in
Yep.
and they're ready to play, where you're taking a high school kid and, they still need a year or two to develop their body and get there. So, the cool thing about the kids we've had over the last couple of years is I've been able to talk to a lot of college coaches and that, and a lot of these coaches were going from getting 25 high school kids a year signing to maybe signing five high school kids a year. So, it's definitely a different landscape. And, even with that, there may be a coach that comes in and, is very interested in a kid all off season. Well, then all of a sudden some other kid comes in that's going to be a graduate, transfer, and now all of a sudden they can take him and play him, and now the high school kid they no longer even want.
Before we talk a little Dixie Heights and the remainder of the regular season, a couple people to thank. Matt Razor working the video, Billy Prickett the audio, Shane Beckett, who does all sorts of things behind the scenes, including puts together some outstanding notes, but he is a dedicated guy. I know he helps you a lot as well. Want to thank them. Sam and the entire staff here at the Florence Barleycorns. And, well, I know you may not have great prowess at bingo. I know you like to eat tacos. So Cincinnati Taco Week is coming up October 13th through the 19th, and Barleycorns will participate. So at all four of its locations, check it out. That includes here in Florence, Lakeside Park, Cold Spring, and the Barleycorns Brew House right now in Wilder, coming soon in Independence. Barleycorns Taco Week, there'll be a participant in Cincinnati Taco Week, so check that out. A reminder, Bengals tonight, regular happy hour specials in effect, and you got to ask about the special beverage tied to one Bengal in particular, even though he may not be playing, but you can ask about that. For each TD, the Bengals score against a tough Bronco defense. So there you have some stuff. Now let's talk Dixie Heights. Again, you mentioned they lost to Simon Kenton 20-10, and then pretty much got housed by Baden, which is undefeated, Covcath and Beechwood, which are both very good teams. Again, you talk about, an early schedule, and, those three between Baden, Beechwood, and Covcath. And Covcath's a pretty darn good 4-2. I mean, based on they took Elder, which is undefeated, 28-20 at the pit. So this Dixie Heights team, and then they won the last 2 weeks. So what is it going to take on Friday at Dixie to, not be in that position to be behind at the half and to make sure you take the next step to win a district championship?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is how we come out. One of the things we did against Connor that I didn't feel we did against Manuel is we came out with a little bit more energy. We came out against Manuel, and they kind of took it to us early. And we reversed that last week, and that was one of the big things we talked about. We got to come out and get up early, and I think, Dixie's another team. You got to get up early. If they get a couple scores early, they're a big playmaker team. I mean, the Fields kid he's got a cannon on him, throws a great ball, and they got some good receivers. So we cannot give up the big play. We're going to have to force them to put drives together, and if they get a couple big plays and those guys get rolling, it could be a long night for us.
Now, I'd be remiss because you got one home game left, and that's Boone County, and that will be the second to last week in essence, correct? Second to last week of the regular season.
Correct.
Because you go Dixie, then you're off, you take your bye week, then you're at Scott, then Boone County at home, and Boone County's off to a 3-2 start, then 3-3 Simon Kenton for the last week of the regular season, then the postseason begins. But Barleycorns has sponsored the halftime extra point, where one contestant gets to try to win wings for a year. So we've had Brad Stewart, the band director, a little short maybe, right? We were there during the Crosstown Showdown game. David Beasel kicked it. Looked like it was good, but judges ruled wide left. I understand former assistant coach Justin Earsing was less than stellar in his attempt. Is that correct?
That was embarrassing. You know, and he was one every week. He would want to come out and kick the field goal for us at the end of practice and thought it was all good. Then he comes out, and by far it was the worst one we had all year. So
you got one more. One more of those, and it is a cool promotion. I don't know about you, but I could use free wings for a year.
So you want to come out and do it?
No, because I know I don't want to embarrass myself. Because I think I'd have to go straight on. I don't think I could do. I can't do anything soccer style.
We can get you one of those old shoes that's like
Steel
has a
toe?
steel on it
Yeah.
and just let you just boot it.
That'd be even more embarrassing, wouldn't it? Now, so we are back
Start
October.
Charlie Brown it.
We are back. Yeah, there you go. We're back Halloween week, October 26th, that Monday, getting ready for the final regular season game against Simon Kenton. So want to encourage everybody on Friday night to head over to Dixie Heights. It's the Jaguars at the 7 o'clock kickoff. I know
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. Okay, I think it's you guys in Ryle that are the only 7:30s.
Yeah, I think Ryle's 7 now too. I think
Are
we're
they?
the only
And
7:30.
Beechwood does an occasion. I think it depends on where the team's coming from to give them a little more time. I'd move it up to 6:30. Make them leave early and give them less time. That's your advantage of home, right?
I guess so, but too much to do. So I like
well,
the
you're the
7:30
AD
kickoff.
too, so it's all your help. So anyway, best of luck to the Jaguars. Want to thank Ryker, Campbell, Keagan, Maher, and everybody else for coming out tonight. A reminder, join us October 26th. Hang around, enjoy the Bengals, Broncos, and if you can stomach the Jets, Dolphins, they've got it on for you on all the TVs in here. Want to thank Barleycorn's. A reminder, make sure you ask about their Oktoberfest menu, limited time. Spin to win bingo, 2 Mondays from tonight, October 13th. They participate in Cincinnati Taco Week and all kinds of good stuff. And take care of their great staff here. Thanks to Sam and all the folks, Billy, Matt, Shane, and everybody else for coming out tonight. This has been the Cooper Football Show presented by Barleycorn.